Hey, what's going on, everybody? Joe Menza here. We're going to do another quick watercolor video. And this time I'm painting on Canson XL 140-pound watercolor paper. I'm doing my usual 3 wet coats on the paper. And we're going to do, the last one came in under 10 minutes. Let's see what we can do with this one. A nice little river type scene. Very quickly in with the raw sienna. Enough to give it a little coating, to give it that lubrication. Leave a little bit of white so that it creates a little dramatic sky. Okay, wash the brush. We don't want green skies. And we go into our ultramarine blue. And we'll get a little blue sky action going on. A little bit for the water coming across. Gonna have some water seen there. We're going to go into now ultramarine blue and some Payne's gray. Get a little bit more dark coming down so it doesn't look too unnaturally blue. So here we have our nice little stained area. We have our light coming down. This is something you could do quickly if you say you don't have enough time to do. You can do this very quickly, no drawing. We'll do a little drying here. Now that you have this, you can do any sort of a painting on top of this that you want. You want to do trees, you want to do a mountain, you want to do some very distant land, some small mountains, and make it more wide scale. This is your opportunity to decide. I like to lay in my background. I do a lot of this from imagination. So this is where I decide what kind of scene would go best from here, because I haven't really committed to anything. I can still do ground here in the foreground. Something like this looks like it would make for a cool sort of a mountain scene. I didn't dry it fully, so we'll go with a little bit of a sort of a gray mountain with a little light red, and we'll lay in a little bit of a mountain in the background here. Try to get some layers. So that one's pretty light, as you can see. I want it to be light. So now we're going to lay in some heavier mountains and try to get some, a little light red, a little blue, a little Payne's gray, and we'll lay in just some more foreground mountains come down. And so it pushes this one back, so it looks like it's a little bit further back. Now, if you want to go with another layer at this point, what you can do is you can make up some green. Take your same brush, a little blue, a little yellow, and make up a little bit of green. And you can put another layer down of some shrubbery here. Here's your shrubbery, foliage, whatever that you want to call it. Put a little Payne's gray on there and just touch it in, and it will give you some varying shades. A little yellow, so it's nice and wet. And you've got some varying shades on here. Next thing, we're going to take a little bit of raw sienna, a little bit of brown, and we're just going to put in a little bit of foreground scene here. A little bit of Van Dyke brown and Payne's gray. Give it the illusion of a shoreline here. Okay, and the straighter you make this, the more unrealistic I think it looks. If you add a little bit of unnatural lines there, then you'll get more of a realistic look, I think. So now we're going to come through a little more brown. Let's start doing a little bit more land in the foreground. Take a little raw sienna, light red, and hopefully make it a little more beachy looking here. A little sandy looking here. And we'll come out here and we'll make a little peninsula here. We can leave this open. It'll look like it kind of runs out. Okay. And then we're going to take a little bit Payne's gray, add it to that, and just kind of dot this little peninsula so it looks like some land is coming out. Same thing here, hit the corners, A little bit of blue just to create a little bit of texture effect. Take our card and we'll just dot the landscape with some random rocks. Same thing over here. Some random rocks there. Take our brown and just kind of fill in a little bit of these areas so it just doesn't look, pushes the rocks back a little bit, doesn't look so unnatural. Okay, so there's our little bit of beach scene. Takes the same brush, and we're going to take a little bit of brown, a little ultramarine, a little Payne's gray, and we're going to put just a little bit of a tree here. Nothing fancy, just something to have a tree. And then we're going to take our number 3 rigger, mixing up a lot of watery brown with the Payne's gray, and then we'll lay in some branches for the tree. Kind of just making little squiggles and wiggles. We're going to put some leaves on here so it doesn't really matter. Well, now we have our tree. I'll put some in here to just for some grass popping up around the tree. And we're going to take our card and we're going to make it look a little like tree bark. And we'll come back to our bigger brush that I did not dip in water. And we're just going to follow it up a little bit. And I'm going to put a little bit of grass along the edge here. It looks like some grass is growing. And now we're going to take a little bit. Now let's wash the brush first. Take some cad yellow, a little bit of blue. And we'll really want these leaves to be random on here. Turn the brush all different sorts of ways so it looks like random leaves. Add a little bit more blue, a little bit of neutral or Payne's gray to get a little bit of a darker green to vary up these leaves a bit. And we have a nice tree there. You can always come back with a little bit of your rigger if you want to. This is the time to add any little branches and any other little sky holes that you have, just to make it look a little more realistic. And then if you want to dab in any more, you can, now is the time. I don't want to cover up too much of that mountain there. I covered up a lot of that, which probably shouldn't have, but that's all right. We got some mountain stuff going on over here. And we can put, maybe we'll put up a little split tree here. And take our rigger again. And very quickly make some branches for that. Come back to our still dirty, well, not dirty, but still with color on it, hake. Dab a little bit of that green that's still on there. Add a little bit of Payne's gray and blue. And get that in there. Now you can also take, if you want, and you can actually scratch in some branches here to create a little bit of a 3D effect. Now is the time to do that. And last but not least, I'm going to take a little bit of that. It's on that brush there, and we'll just add a few little grasses in here just to make it look a little more realistic. Make sure the brush is dry for this. And just lightly touch. Make it look like you have some grasses cropping up there around this tree. you want to put a little scrapage into this tree, now is the time while it's still wet. Put some scratches in there for grass. And my usual that I like to do, I like to have birds or some kind of life in the picture. And I do use a pen for this. Every time I do them with a brush, my hand is shaking a little bit, so I just like to use this. Sometimes I'll come and I'll put just little grasses in with the pen just to kind of liven things up a little bit. And then finally, we'll do a signing. Sign it over here. And that's our finished painting. Here we are. Nice river scene with a couple of layers, mountains to the background. We've got our shoreline with our trees in the background. Some nicely scraped out little trees and a little river that runs through here. I wouldn't have minded if this water in here was a little bit darker. You can always come back and do a quick brush across. It's not too bad. After the video, I will put in a zoom in so you can see a little bit better. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, comment, and so I know you're out there. Thanks.